to show you a few examples. First of all, before I start the topic, let's pay attention. I went to the beach. So what? Many people go to the beach all the time. Oh my goodness. It's raining. Although it was raining, I went to the beach. Okay, now that is surprising. Not many people go to the beach when it's raining. Now let's take a minute to talk about the meaning of this word. Although. In this sentence, we have two facts. The first one is I went to the beach. Nothing surprising here. And here's the second fact. It was raining. When you put them together, the second fact makes the first fact seem surprising. Although is used to show the surprising relationship. And it's between the two facts. Let's gonna take a look at more examples. I don't want to be a firefighter, although I could save kittens. Come and get it. Here I come. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Although she was hungry, Lucy didn't eat because it's something that she doesn't like. Now, let's talk about a grammar for how to use although. Although it's a subordinate conjunction and it's followed by a clause. Remember that a clause is a group of words. It has at least a subject and a verb, though it may also have objects, a complement, and some adverbial phrases. Together, this makes a subordinate clause. And it's called subordinate clause because it cannot make a sentence on its own. It makes no sense. If someone said, although she was hungry, although she was hungry, what? What are you talking about? You see? We don't understand. The listener will be waiting for more information. The idea wouldn't feel complete. That is why subordinate clause must be followed by another clause. This is gonna be the main clause. Unlike the subordinate clause, the main clause does express a complete idea and can stand on its own. One more thing. It is also possible to switch the order of the clauses. You could say, Lucy didn't eat although she was hungry. Alright. Now, I'd like to show you some more subordinate conjunctions. They show contrast of surprising fact. These words have the same meaning. They have the same grammar and the same meaning as although. So, though she was hungry, she didn't eat. Or in spite of the fact that she was hungry, she didn't eat. Or even though she was hungry, she didn't eat. Now, you know four subordinated conjunctions that you can use to show a contrast of surprising facts. We have in spite of the fact that, though, and even though. Alright, it's a confession time, guys. I didn't tell you something. I told you they were the same. But, they're the same, but they're not. There's a small difference between them. In the degree of formality of these words, in spite of the fact that is the most formal, and even though is the least formal. Okay? That's the only difference between them. Now, let's take a look at a few examples. In spite of the fact that the Bolivarian Revolution doesn't maintain law and order in the streets, Maduro remains in power. Second example. Although it cost 6 million, Abdullah bought a camel. Let's talk about despite and in spite of. These words are also used to show a contrast of surprising fact. Phew, I think we were working a lot. Let's go back to the beach. Despite it was raining, we had a lot of fun. Oh, good for you. Okay, now, if we think about a sentence from the point of view of a meaning, it is correct. Perfectly correct. We're still showing contrast. However, from a grammatical point of view, the sentence is not correct. It is wrong. You can use a clause after despite. Now, we've seen that the sentences "run despite" can be followed by a clause. Okay, why? You might be asking yourself. Well, that is because despite is a preposition, and after a preposition you need to use a noun or ing verbs. So we could say, despite the rain, I went to the beach. Or in spite of the rain, I went to the beach. Despite and in spite of are both prepositions, and they have the same meaning and the same grammar structure. The first part of a sentence, despite the rain, is called a prepositional phrase. It is also possible to put the prepositional phrase at the end of a sentence. You could say, I went to the beach despite the rain. Before we continue, look at the difference between them. We use a comma, okay, after it. Notice of how we don't need a comma if we use first the bullet clause and then the prepositional phrase. Okay, let's continue. She said not in spite of her romantic proposal. In spite of being the youngest employee, she got a promotion. In spite of his bad eyesight, Kenneth was able to read a note. I just told you that a preposition is followed by a noun. Now, if you're in dull, I'd like to take a minute to tell you all about a gerund clause. A gerund clause, like any other kind of clause, it's a subject. It has a subject. There are two things that you need to know about subjects in gerund clauses. First of all, they are usually optional, and as a matter of fact, it is not usually used. Second of all, it must be a preposition adjective. Or a possessive noun. The possessive adjectives are my, your, his, her, its, our, their. In place of a verb, you need to use a gerund. Remember, if you want to make a negative, simply put a not in front of a gerund. Like a tense clause, a gerund clause can have objects, a complement, and even some adverbial phrases. And the examples, I'm going to show you only adverbials of time. For example, we could make a gerund clause. My, not, given, her, the letter, last week. As in, despite my not giving her the letter last week, she heard the news. Here's another one. Her offering them a hand for a couple of hours. As in spite of her offering them a hand for a couple of hours, they decided to do it without her. And here's another example. They're having left early. As in, despite their having left early, they arrived late. Finally, here's an example with a possessive noun. John's not traveling anymore. As in spite of John's not traveling anymore, he has a really nice tan. Now, let me show you how we transform subordinate clause. How can we change them into gerund clause? First, take a subordinate conjunctions and change them into a preposition. Use the change the subject into possessive adjective. Then change the verb phrase into gerund. Okay, here's a tricky one. In this sentence, we have a modal verb could, and the being able to is the gerund form of could. So use being able to use with the base form of a verb. And there is no need to change the object. And voila, we have despite my being able to save kittens. And this is a prepositional phrase that has a gerund clause. Okay, and it says subordinate to the sentence. All right, so let's gonna take a look at examples here. Despite my being able to save kittens, I don't want to be a firefighter. It is completely, well, it is different from the first one. I'm gonna show you more. Although it cost 6 million, Abdullah bought a camel. We change although with a preposition which is despite, then it becomes the possessive adjective its. In cost, we're gonna use the gerund, costing. And again, the object remains the same. And we get the sentence, despite its costing $6 million, Abdullah bought the camel. Alright, here's a few more examples for you. In spite of the ostrich burying its head in the sand, its problem did not disappear. He didn't catch any fish, despite having fished all day. I'm going to show you guys in this exercise that you need to match the subordinate clause to its corresponding main clause. You're going to copy them on your grammar notebook. Then guys, I'm going to show you the second exercise, in which you're going to use either a subordinate conjunction or a preposition to complete each sentence. Again, you're going to copy the exercise on your grammar notebook. And finally, the third exercise, you're going to change the subordinate clause in each of the following sentences to make a prepositional clause with despite or in spite of. Okay, I'm going to give you one example. It says, I thought he was wrong, although I didn't say anything at the time. Okay, if we got the first main clause, which is I thought he was wrong, and then we got a subordinate sentence, which is although I didn't say anything at the time. You see the difference? You can understand by its own, the second clause. Then you're gonna change that into a gerund clause. It would be like this one. I thought he was wrong despite my not saying anything at the time. That's the gerund clause. Okay, so you're gonna copy these exercises on your grammar notebook as well. You're gonna solve them. And that's it, guys. That's for Tuesday. Remember that on Wednesday and Thursday you're gonna work on students and workbook, and on Friday is gonna be your deadline. Everything must be on Google Classroom. Okay, you're gonna have enough time to upload your tasks. And that's it, guys. I'll see you later. Take care. See you.